Hello, hello. Everybody staying dry and out of the snow so far, I hope. Ladies and gentlemen, this sounds like a lot of fun. This sounds like a lot of fun. I stayed up to watch a lot of the Golden Globes last night, and I wanted to see Nikki Glazer because I do appreciate comedy. I find myself more and more on Netflix having comedic performances. I know what it is. I watched all the Bill Burr comedy, and then Netflix had my number and they said, "Hey, you'll like this and you'll," and I must say I've been on a roll for the last year watching a lot of comedians and enjoying many of them, and I wanted to see how Nikki Glazer did last night. I thought she did great with the Globes, and I was familiar with Nikki Glazer because of the role that she played in the Tom Brady roast, and I also wanted to know, is she going to be able to clean it up for network television? And I thought she did well. So, anyway, with all this comedy in mind, I'm laughing already at the prospect that every Friday night is comedy night at the Parks Casino in Shippensburg. And this Friday night, Raymond the Amish comic. I think that sounds hysterical. I love, as long as you're an equal opportunity offender. I'll bet his last name is Stolfuss. Do you think? I don't know. That's funny. Live music every Saturday night. Raisin Cane, Rayzen, Raisin Cane taking the stage. So come on, it's the dead of winter. You want to get out of the house and have some fun. How about Parks Casino in Shippensburg? You can bet sports at the Bet Parks kiosks in the side pocket, catch all the pro and college football action. I mean, we're in the thick of that, right? Playoff season for both pro football and college football. So much excitement. Next weekend is one of my favorite weekends of the year because of the pro action. So enjoy it at Parks Casino. If you're in Hagerstown, Maryland, Winchester, Virginia, Martinsburg, West Virginia, and many, many more, you can get lucky in no time. Parks Casino Shippensburg is also smoke-free, less than an hour from Harrisburg, the state capital. 500 state-of-the-art slot machines, 48 live dealer electronic table games featuring blackjack, roulette, and a great daily happy hour. Get in on all the action. Visit Parks, PARXcasino.com. Go see the Amish comic Friday night. You've got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So Saturday, James Carville, two interesting poll results, and then I'll tell you about today's poll question. Saturday, James Carville, the Ragin' Cajun, was my guest on CNN. He had written an opinion piece that I talked about on air, on radio on Friday, and then on television on Saturday, saying he was wrong. Kamala Harris, ultimately lost the election. He had predicted that she was going to win the election. And in particular, what had he not appreciated? Quote, "We lost for one very simple reason. It was, is, and always will be the economy, stupid." And then he closed his piece by saying, "Thus it was, thus it is, thus it forever shall be." I thought he was a great guest. It also was nice that I was able to do truly like a 10-minute conversation with him on television, which is an eternity, not for us on Sirius XM POTUS. But in the end, the poll question was, do you agree with Carville that Kamala Harris lost for one simple reason, the economy? 43,654 votes were cast. 65.98%, let's just say two-thirds, said no. No, they didn't agree with him. And via social media, I saw a laundry list of different explanations as to why it wasn't just the economy, stupid. Several that I saw, as per the radio callers as well, said sexism, racism, didn't have enough time on the clock, a whole host of factors. I'm with Carville. I say economy, immigration, and the condescension factor, something that he also addresses. And the hard pill for Democrats to swallow, if you're going to follow Carville's prescription, is that James Carville says, stop talking about Trump. Stop demonizing his supporters and stop talking about extremism. The economy, the economy, the economy. Yesterday's poll result, again, a lot of voting, 31,769. That's a lot for a Sunday. Will Trump 2.0 be more or less chaotic than Trump 1.0. 78.14% said more. I'm in the less category. I may be proven incorrect. Nothing would be unusual about that. But I think he has, even though he's not changed, he is older, he's got a more seasoned team around him. And I think they have a plan. I think it's going to be, I think they're going to move at a very rapid clip in coming into office and making change 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today. I think those first 100 days are going to be very eventful. But do I think they're going to be as chaotic as last time? I don't. We'll see. But it leads nicely into today's poll question, because today is January 6th. Today is the 4-year anniversary, probably one of those days where you know where you were and what you were doing. On radio today in studio, William J. Brennan and Michael Vanderveen, who represented Trump in the second impeachment, and then as a result, I'm sure, of the high visibility from representing Donald Trump in the impeachment trial tied to January 6th, they represent a lot of J6ers. And I am blaming veteran criminal defense attorney William J. Brennan for today's poll question, because I was struggling. I wanted to have a January 6th poll question. And I was struggling in coming up with something about which there would be an even divide. And I went back and forth by text and then on the phone with Billy. And I ended up in a place where I said to him, I have to take the responsibility. It's my website. The poll question today is, given Trump's pardon promises, should the DOJ still prosecute nonviolent January 6 participants? And what I had initially drafted was more a question of, is this a good use of the government resources? Because as I said to Bill yesterday, I know the audience is going to say, prosecute all of them. No quarter. Give them no slack at all. And what I was striving for was, if Trump is going to pardon at least the nonviolent and those who didn't destruct property, if he's going to pardon those who were not involved in violence or destruction of property, then is this really a wise use of resources by the federal government? And the CNN story that leads the newsletter today has a lot of interesting data in it. There have been more than 1,570 arrests in all 50 states. It's the largest criminal probe in U.S. history. Amazing. And the vast majority of those cases have resolved with plea agreements. As of last month, 1,250 of 1,570 have been adjudicated, 80% resulting in guilty pleas. But now, where Trump wins the election and is so close to taking the office, all the defense lawyers, this is common sense, are saying, don't take the plea, don't take the plea. And as a result, it's all come to a grinding halt. So what should be the response of DOJ? Should they just full speed ahead until Trump does something, or back off now and focus on other cases? Let me be crystal clear. Anyone who was destructive of property, anyone who was violent, for sure, I don't want their sentences commuted, pardoned. I don't want any slack being provided to them. I feel pretty much about January 6th the way that I felt about January 6th 4 years ago. I'm horrified by the behavior. Now, somebody who's exercising their First Amendment right and is there, I'm sympathetic to. I don't want them prosecuted. And there are some cases, including one that Vanderveen and Brennan represented. There are some cases that are in a gray area, where you've got somebody who was at the sort of the front of the line. They say they weren't violent, they weren't doing anything wrong, but they got thrust forward in the crowd. We'll talk about that on radio today. Well, one other thing, in the newsletter, President Biden, or someone on President Biden's behalf, writes about exactly this issue. Trump's pardon promise for January 6 rioters is the headline on it. I had two reactions when I read it, which is to say, I don't think that President Biden has clean hands now in talking about what Trump should do with his pardon power, given the 1,500 that he pardoned, including the judge from upstate Pennsylvania who was involved, one of them, two judges were involved in the Cash for Kids scandal. So I feel like he surrendered his card. That was observation number one. And observation number two, given the level of detail with which President Biden wrote about some of the J6ers, I was just incredulous as to how much of this, just like those 1,500 names on the list, he was even aware of. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm not playing the card of frailty, although that's a factor. I just think that this was not his handiwork. This was not his handiwork. Anyway, it's the 4-year anniversary of January 6th. For better or for worse, today's poll question at Smerconish.com is on that subject. And the final wording is as follows. Given Trump's pardon promises, should the DOJ still prosecute nonviolent January 6 participants? So go to Smerconish.com and cast a ballot on that poll question. And have a great day.